Hello children, today we are starting with the 8th chapter, Animals Everywhere. We can see different animals around us. They all are not alike. Some animals live along with us on land. Some animals live in water. Different animals live a different life. And they are categorized on the place in which they live. The natural home of an animal where it lives, eats, grows and reproduces is termed as its habitat. Depending upon the habitat or the place where an animal lives, animals are normally classified into 4 types: terrestrial animals, aquatic animals, aerial animals and arboreal animals. Terrestrial animals are animals that live on land, like lion, tiger, we human beings. Aquatic animals are animals that live in water, like fish, prawns, oysters. Aerial animals are animals that fly in the air, like birds and insects. And arboreal animals are animals which spend most of their time on trees, like monkeys. So these classification is based on their habitats. That means the place where an animal grows and reproduces. All its life activities will be along that place. There are many more interesting things regarding animals. As we see different types of animals around us, they all behave differently. They all have different body features. And it is very interesting to study about their body features. So today, we will start the lesson with the breathing in animals. We human beings are also animals, we also breathe. While we breathe, we take in air. Air is a mixture of different gases. And the air that we take in contains many gases, and from that, the body uses oxygen and give out carbon dioxide into the air. So why do you take in oxygen, or why do you take in air? What is the need? Is it just simply to entertain you or just for time pass? No. There is a specific need of having oxygen in your body. Oxygen helps to break down the food and give you energy. The process of digestion is done with the help of oxygen present in the blood. So for getting energy, you need enough supply of oxygen in your body. All living things, they take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide, especially animals. Plants also take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide at night time. But during daytime, as they are preparing food, they take in carbon dioxide and give out oxygen. But animals, they always, whether they are living on land or on trees or in water, they take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. But the organs with which they take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide, or the organs with which they breathe, is entirely different. So today we are going to study about the organs of breathing in different types of animals: aquatic, arboreal, aerial and terrestrial animals. First is the case, we can start from the small thing onwards. First is the case of microbe or microorganisms. Microbe or microorganisms are very tiny organisms that can be only seen through a microscope. Even though they cannot be seen with our naked eye, or even though they are seen only with the help of a microscope, they are also organisms or living things. They also should breathe. So that tiny organisms also breathe with the help of their body surface. They cannot have any lungs or any other breathing organ inserted in their body, isn't it? Because microorganisms are unicellular organisms. That means they have only a single cell in their body to perform all the activities of their body, like digestion of food, catching of or fetching of food, then excretion of waste, then breathing. Everything is done with the movement, everything is done with the help of that single cell. So I have given you two examples, amoeba and paramecium, the most common microorganisms. So amoeba is a single cell microorganism. That cell is covered with a cell membrane. You can see a cell membrane here. See, this is the cell membrane. This cell membrane is its body surface. This is the cell and this is the cell membrane. This outer layer is a cell membrane. That cell membrane helps oxygen to get in and carbon dioxide to move out. See, oxygen diffuses into amoeba and carbon dioxide diffuses out of amoeba. So an exchange of gases takes place through the body surface. Same is the case of paramecium, another microorganism. It also uses its skin to breathe. Next we have much more bigger class of animals called insects, like our cockroach, grasshopper and all. Insects, they do not breathe through their body surface. Instead, they have a special organ in their body called spiracles. Spiracles are actually holes or tubes in the body of an insect. You can see spiracles here. See, this is spiracles. Spiracles help in the passage of air. An insect's blood is not red in color. Normally our blood is red in color, isn't it? And we have learned that our blood is red in color because of the presence of oxygen carrying thing or substance called hemoglobin. So even though it gives red color to our blood, the most important function of hemoglobin is to carry oxygen. So if there is no hemoglobin in the blood of insects, who will carry oxygen to different parts to get energy? This is done with the help of a tube or a network. That is, spiracles lead to air tubes. These tubes form a network. You can see it as a network. The whole thing, when you look, you can see it as a network which reaches every tissue of the body. So spiracles are small holes through which air gets in. Spiracles lead to air tubes, which leads to a network of tissues, and it reaches all parts of the body of an insect, and that is how oxygen is supplied to different parts to gain energy. And it is not the hemoglobin in the blood that helps in it. So this is how insects breathe. The next type, much more bigger animals, are aquatic animals like fish, prawns, oysters, tadpoles and all. They all are different types of animals, but they use a single type of breathing organ, that is gills. You are familiar with gills present in fish, but some other animals, aquatic animals, also use gills. See, this picture very clearly shows you gills of a fish. Gills are actually special organs which are richly supplied with blood vessels. There are lots of blood vessels in gills. And when the fish swim, the water comes and touches these gills frequently. And what happens? When the water comes in contact with the gills, the moment it touches the gills, an exchange of gases takes place. So it happens within a fraction of a second, isn't it? The water, when it comes as waves and touches the fish when it swims, and it will not wait for the gas to be exchanged. The water touch and go, again it touches the gills and go. So within that very small time, there is an exchange of gases taking place. That means the blood vessels and the gills absorbs oxygen from water and gives out carbon dioxide into the water. So this is how exchange of gases takes place in gills, through gills in fish. So gills work in the same manner for all other animals also. Here we can see the picture of prawn. This is the gills of a prawn. Then this is a tadpole. What is a tadpole? Tadpole is the young one of a frog. Frogs, we have learned that frogs normally lay eggs in water, and the young one comes out of the egg, that is called tadpole. It lives like a fish for a particular period of time. After that, it changes into the normal frog. So at that particular time, when it lives like a fish in water, it uses its gills as a breathing organ. And when it changes to a matured frog, it's different. That we will learn. Okay, so the tadpole, the young one of a frog, uses gills to breathe. The same way a crab, this picture shows a crab, and that is the gills. What I have made in a round is the gills of a crab. Here you can see an oyster, a green colored gills. I have taken this picture because you can easily identify gills from that picture. The green gills are present in that oyster, green gilled oyster. Okay. So these are the aquatic animals that use gills to breathe. So gills are special organs which are richly supplied with blood vessels. When water touches the gills, an exchange of gases takes place. It takes in oxygen and gives out carbon dioxide. Okay. Next type of animal is frog, much more bigger than the last one, isn't it? So frogs, I told you, the young one of a frog uses gills. And a normal frog on land, it uses lungs to breathe. On land, frog uses lungs to breathe. But can gills and lungs exist in the same organism? No. So when a tadpole changes into frog, or it is matured into a frog, the gills slowly disappears and lungs starts developing. So on land, frog uses its lungs for breathing. The lungs is shown here. But we know that frog is an amphibian. Amphibians are animals that live both on land and in water. So can the frog use its lungs to breathe in water? No way. Lungs are only meant for terrestrial animals or animals that live on land. So when it goes into water, as it is an amphibian, it goes in water also. So when it goes into water, it is not able to breathe with lungs. So it will die, isn't it? But that does not happen. Because frog uses its moist skin. When it gets into water, skin becomes moist or wet. That moist skin is used by the frog to breathe in water. So on land, it uses lungs, and in water, a frog uses its moist skin to breathe. So this is how a frog breathes. Next one is birds, reptiles and mammals. They are all lung breathers because they live on land. The lungs of a bird is shown here. The lungs of a reptile is also shown here. They are lung breathers. They breathe in air. That air is passed on to the lungs and exchange of gases takes place and it is expelled out. It is given out, the air containing carbon dioxide. So this is how birds, reptiles and mammals breathe. Mammals are also animals that reproduce young ones and feed them with their milk, like human beings, dogs, cats and all. So they also breathe with the help of what? Lungs. Next, we can study about the most developed mammal, that is human being, how we breathe. We breathe in or we take in air through our nose, that is the external breathing organ. All the other organs are inside our body. So through the nose, the air enters into our nostrils. And from there, it passes to the lungs through windpipe. See, this is windpipe. It is named as trachea. That is other name of windpipe, trachea. Okay, through this windpipe, it reaches the lungs. See, you can see connection. In the lungs, there are so many blood vessels. And when the air reaches the lungs, the blood vessels take in oxygen from the air and gives out the carbon dioxide that is there in the body into that air. I'll tell you once again. When the air, after breathing, when it reaches the lungs, the blood vessels absorbs oxygen and gives carbon dioxide into that air present in the lungs. And after that, the lungs contract. Contract means it shrinks. And when it contracts, the air with the carbon dioxide is pushed out. And it is pushed out and it comes through the nose again as expelled air or exhaled air. Okay, so that is why exhaled air has more carbon dioxide, because that carbon dioxide is added from the lungs. So this is how an exchange of gas takes place in the lungs, and that is how human beings breathe. So these are the breathing organs of different animals. We learned from microscopic animals to the most developed human beings. So microscopic animals breathe through their body surface. Insects breathe through spiracles. Fish, oysters, prawns, crabs, tadpoles, they breathe through gills. Frog uses its lungs to breathe on land and moist skin to breathe in water. Birds and reptiles uses its lungs, and the most developed among the mammals breathe through lungs, we human beings, and other mammals also breathe through lungs. So these are the interesting facts about breathing in human. Later on we will study about the feeding and movement in animals. So from this itself it is clear that it will be more interesting for you. So read your textbook till breathing of or breathing organs in animals. Thank you.